Hello, my name is Timothy Tuck, and I'm the founder of HCO Research Labs. We're based out of the Bay Area in California. We're a legal LLC out of Colorado. We're going to have a conversation, or you're going to hear today from one of our patients. I typically will call, and each one's a little different, but we do kind of do a hands-on thing here. I generally talk to them at least 2 or 3 times as they're going through using it. Michael is somebody who we've become pretty good friends, and you have to love it. This guy named his tumor, so you're going to see a little clip pop in that does a great job of describing how he saw some of this. But he named his tumor Harvey, which is a character out of Farscape. And being a big Farscape fan, we had a little bit in common there. He's a very different character than me, though. I've known that there was a mistranslation in the Bible for over a decade, and based off of a conversation I had with a friend of mine who had just turned 18 and had just heard about something called RSO, Rick Simpson oil, which we can't use the term because apparently, according to Harborside, when I spoke to their purchasing manager, Rick has become a little litigious with the widespread use of his name. So I'm more than glad now that we rebranded it to HCO. I do, and Michael and a few other people every once in a while throw in the words holy anointing oil because that truly is what we're making. There's a mistranslation in the Bible in 300 BC when they were writing the very first version of the Bible in Greek, taking it from ancient Hebrew, which actually comes little bits from ancient Sumerian, but we won't go into the controversial part. But some of that was lifted directly out of the ancient Sumerian texts. All religion comes from something, and I find the origins quite fascinating, which is why for over a decade I had known that there was some translational errors and cannabis was used. And that's what's in holy anointing oil. And 2 friends coming up with cancer and a couple conversations over a couple of nights. Just random occurring events, but like literally threads being pulled together and something being, a tapestry being woven. I turned around and made the first batches of holy cannabis oil, HCO, and I've made a second version that's CBD based that's called Holy Christ oil. So if you're looking for a CBD based product, you're wanting Holy Christ oil. If you take and you're looking, if you're okay with the fact that it has THC in it, or you're looking for that and you're in a legal medical marijuana state or a recreational marijuana state, then holy cannabis oil might be what you're interested in. We have both of them. We've gone through and just had our first couple batches tested at Steep Hill Labs. We're focused on quality. That's the bottom line. This was actually made for family members and friends, and the only thing I've done as I've gone through and continued to do this is find better quality ingredients, and that's the direction we're going. I used to brew beer. I got to the point that people who were testing my beer and trying it were looking at opening a restaurant and a brewery out of the recipes, but I'd be huge and fat. It was too good, so we had to stop. And it also was very alcoholic because I really was refining the process. We were getting it up over 10%. We didn't want to have somebody be hurt. Here, now, with what I'm doing, this time I'm putting my skills to good use and we can save. What you're going to hear, though, is some conversation, very edited and chopped up, okay? But you're going to hear directly instead of, because as I talk to these patients and stuff, I turn around and I get to hear these great stories and they come in my ears, but then they're stuck in my head and I have to speak them back out. So I'd rather that you take and actually get to hear it from somebody else's mouth than mine. So with that, this is Michael. I won't say the state he's in, Michael Davis. He actually had a brain tumor who he named Harvey, and enjoy. The conversation basically...
And I knew I should have doing this with Stephen for the last month. And here's where I'm at.
Well, hey, I got you on speakerphone. I figured we'd get you on here one way or another. You're having technical difficulties. So how you doing, brother?
My obsession as a patient, rightly or wrongly, you know it, and I'm not trying to reopen it as a topic, but has been, am I getting what mythically I'm supposed to be getting in content? I have, as you know, started a biochem online course, and I'm learning now how to count the way you've been counting.
That's why I'm doing
I've watched about 100 hours of these videos you and I've bounced back and forth, and if I've not been completely out of touch with what I've been listening to, there's a guy in there that was talking about that this crop was to be what we based like a new age on. In other words, better pacing, better roads, better clothing. No, don't even touch the medicinal or recreational aspects of this plant.
Just the industrial uses.
Let's go with it's 1/10 the cost to grow this crop of the next cheapest crop. And I like that. I like the idea that it doesn't destroy the soil that grows it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's funny here. It's like this quote podcast. Hold on, let's get back to your health, because this is the most important part. And this is the part that most impressed me when we talked. The one email that you sent me where you were basically reading the book. You had your...
I have pieced that one back together, and if you would allow me, I don't need to want to narrate, but if you'll give me just a second, I'd like to actually give you a spin on that.
I would love it.
I just put it back together.
And let me also state for everybody else who is hearing this, Michael had a brain glioma, correct?
Yes, it's an Omeniraj glioma. And it is the glee cells in the brain apparently have lost their instructions to die and have begun to...
Well, they've gotten bad code and replicated and then don't go through apoptosis. And so they cracked you open like a Christmas walnut. Cracked your head open and took out a tumor that weighed how much again?
What I have said, and if I'm wrong, at least I've been consistent for the last 20 months, 1.672 plus pounds inside.
Now, so
you talked about it being a fist or an orange or a bag of candy on one of the podcasts I heard about, and what I can tell you they told me was it was 4.5 centimeters by 6.5 centimeters, which I thought was just not that big a deal. But
that can't be 1.62 pounds then, dude, because 1.62 pounds, your brain weighs 3 pounds.
That's exactly what I knew. I knew that for fact, because 3.3 is what stuck in my head.
Yeah,
and
average in a large brain is 3.4 pounds. The largest brains I think they've measured are 3.4 pounds. 3.3 to 3.2 is the average. 3 is what they state.
Here's what I can tell you they did tell me. I lost 8.5 or less grams of brain matter when they removed the tumor. Now, how they came up with that, I don't know. Maybe they reached in their ass and pulled out a number because they knew if I lived how I was prior to surgery and that I was going to require an answer.
So prior to surgery, what was your first symptoms that you actually had that something wasn't right?
I smoked a brick mailbox on a street in my neighborhood. I say smoked because it did nothing to me, and I obliterated it to dust.
With what?
With a car.
Oh, okay.
The $27,000 Volkswagen Passat that my wife loved, I think, a smidge more than me. She'll never admit that, rightly so. But truth be told, she loved that car.
Yeah,
and I killed it.
And you killed it. So you had an auto accident.
That, she told me the day that it happened, she came there and she said that I looked drunk. And, I think we've learned since that day that these seizures that I would have two outcomes, either complete exhaustion or delirious intoxication.
Yep. Or both.
Police officers
did not
write me any kind of DUI ticket or anything like that. I offered him my blood, told him I couldn't pass his test because I have a left prosthetic leg.
Yeah.
And he let me go. I don't know if he should or shouldn't have, but that's what happened.
When did you lose your leg?
I then went to the doctor, and they thought I was having invisible migraines is the phrase they used. Or no, not invisible, silent.
Silent migraines?
What I would
Nasty stuff.
Here's how a seizure was for me. If I was just sitting, I've told clinicians that if the Enterprise's transporter system were real, I believe my seizures must be what it felt like to be transported somewhere. Because what I would feel is just a disconnection from reality. And I know that doesn't really sell it on just that phrase alone, but it was just really like blinking out of being connected to what I was doing. And then I would have a tingling that would go down my left arm to the tips of my fingers as if I had laid on my arm wrong and it had gone to sleep.
Wow. And it was always the left side?
Yes, it was always the left side, but the sensation of being disconnected could be the center, the rear, the left, the right, the front. It really was. If I'd woken up, with the actors from that TV series, I wouldn't have been shot.
So,
because I watched enough of that as a kid, that was the only thing I could, kind of translate it to was, if you ever saw this show, that must be what this feels like.
So the tumor was on the right side of your brain then, correct?
It was, right temporal lobe. Right temporal lobe,
okay. 1.62 pounds, but from the size that you're mentioning, that's not huge. I mean, and you'd never told me the size before, so that yeah, I'd be interested. I think it might have been 0.162.
I don't know.
I'd be interested.
I have a get out of confusion card that I use. This is where it's true. I do not know the answer.
That's okay. Don't worry.
I know I've been telling the story the same way, and I've never been corrected by anybody associated with my case.
Yeah.
So whether it is or it isn't, I'm saying, put it this way, it was life-ending.
Yeah.
I was told recently, in the last year and a few months, I have been told what they told Sabrina as it was happening. And, some of these guys probably needed a few more years of polishing at some kind of, behavioral school, because they told this woman, mother of my two small boys, the woman I had taken care of for going on at that time 15-odd years, they basically just told her, yeah, he's not going to see 15. Now, I've never heard anybody told her directly to go look for a plot, but I've reduced many of the things I've heard to that.
Wow.
Because essentially, they were not giving her any hope.
Well, interesting, because if you hadn't stuck it out, we would not have met, Michael.
That's right. If I'd have followed the instructions.
Yeah. So I'm very, very damn glad you did. Very damn glad to have met you and everything.
And here's what I can tell you has happened since you and I. Now, you had your experience with me where you saw the just insane desire to communicate without quite all the ability.
Yeah.
And then you have also seen the change. And the only things that
frickin' monumental
change. What?
Frickin' monumental change.
Well, and there's only been one primary thing that I've done different.
Which?
Than my contemporaries. I've consumed the extracted oils of a plant some people don't think a lot of, other people think way too much of.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the only difference. I've not changed my diet, even though I would like to have a 75-25 split between fruit and protein.
Yeah.
And of that protein, not have more than 20% of it come from an animal, but I've just not been able to do that yet.
It's pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. And given the resources I have to work with, I think marshaling my troops' ability to get to school, my wife to work at building her career, I think those are big wins for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're back to a much more closer to a normal lifestyle now.
Right. And the message you and I have talked about, I did not have a copy of. I listened to another podcast where you had it and were reading it and rewrote it with no ad libs. And I'm going to take about 25 seconds here if you'll let me.
Sure.
On the second day of December last year, I wrote a note on the HCO HolyChristOil.com website, and it said, I experienced something I haven't felt in at least 2 years. I have been using Holy Christ oil and now Holy Cannabis oil 914. I was reading in my office, and for no specific reason, I set the book down. I was looking out the windows. I felt fine. I wasn't frail. I wasn't really stressed, not troubled, just really okay. No impending doom, which is the real thing I had lived with for 2 years, even if I were able to get to a day where I was just sitting. I've had that impending doom since April of 2014 when I ruined the day of a young female radiologist. She gave me and administered my MRI, and she was the first one to see Harvey.
You know what you have to do, John.
Yeah, I know exactly what I have to do.
Well, just crash the module. Elsa's problem. But you would have done your duty.
Get your hand off me.
Last chance, John. Veer into the wall of the wormhole. It'll be over fast.
Nope. Child's gonna have a father, Harv.
Well, I hope it's a boy.
Boy, girl, either is fine. Buckle up.
I forgot this part.
Well, she came to me to tell me that I needed to go to my doctor's office, and I looked at her because, that's not what I was told. He told me he was going to play some golf this week. He'd get back to me next week or the fall. And she's not quite in tears. And she's telling me it's choked up as anybody gets like that, and says, I'm telling you to go now, and he will meet you there. And that's when I kind of thought I might be in trouble.
Yeah.
But it was really more of a principal's office kind of trouble. I didn't know it was a mortality trouble.
Yeah.
And so that pretty quickly led us to Dallas for a second opinion. Back to Abilene, where, believe it or not, brain surgery was performed with a gamma knife on my head, and I survived it and am doing better than anyone I've ever heard of that had brain cancer.
Yeah. Well,
we've got to laugh, Tim, because
absolutely.
There's a lot of nasty over here. Nobody talks about how nasty cancer is, not from a governmental or a medical or a familial, but just from the human experience of what it is, because most of the time people don't do what they're supposed to do. My buddy John that I was telling you about, if it was correctly relayed to me, was effectively chunked out of hospice because he didn't die.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing that kind of drives me at this point. My PCP, my primary care physician, died about, if I'm not mistaken, 3 or 4 Saturdays ago.
You were telling me that. That is just...
The man had cancer for 10 or 15, maybe as many as 20 years that I've known him.
You know what? The crazy thing is, they're the ones who know the least about this stuff.
Right. Could have been done with this, but I keep looking at these water towers around town and other towns.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why, if there's at least an 85 or 90% chance that most of what you and I believe we really believe about this process is valid. And if it's valid, I don't understand why these water towers, we don't have an extra water tower at every municipality loaded with HAO.
HCO.
Well, I'm so sorry, but I was trying to stay away from the other one.
Yeah, well, no, yeah.
Here where I'm going is that I don't understand why we don't have that in a shack at the bottom.
Yeah.
You get sick, you go to your doctor writes you out a little purple sheet of paper prescription. You go to that shack, you hand it to them, they give you whatever you need, you go home and take your medication, live your life.
Yeah, as soon as you get diagnosed with cancer, what they should do is basically give you an 8 fluid ounce bottle of HCO and tell you, come back as soon as you can finish this.
Right.
Have fun.
Absolutely.
Because
that's where
you do that one
I
time, 2 times, you're good.
In a more communication-based method of explaining it, I can tell you now, I've referred to myself when I've talked to you as just being a primate.
Right.
I like to have shiny stones on my fingers so I can sit and watch the light refract off of them. And with the HCO, I believe, and I don't have anything to back this up except just my thought process. When I feel THC, now you've heard me say, and it's still true, I don't want to be high.
Right.
But when I feel something, my mind, I believe, immediately portions that to, it's working. When I take a dose of 5 drops or whatever drops it is, that there is no, a part of my mind says, oh, I wonder if it's still working.
Well, but you got both oils. That's why you're taking the CBD
well,
oil.
We know, I wasn't going to go into that for this, but we know what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's okay because it won't happen again, but it's also one of those things that, you know, we're waiting for the tide to really either roll in or roll out because something's about to happen.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's happening is the science is getting out there. Just this last week now, you have the National Cancer Institute, I think is who it was, actually acknowledging that cannabis can be used to treat cancer. That's freaking huge. You have the NIH saying it. You have, I mean, it's getting out there. And the thing is it's been known for a long time.
The FDA owns the patent.
Yeah. Well, that's the most insane thing. No, cannabis has no medicinal value. Did you get our patent on that yet? I mean, they're the only ones with a patent on it. How can it have no medicinal value if you got a patent on it?
The other side of it, they call these laws that get passed compassionate use. And I'm sorry, but I don't need compassionate use.
You know what they're doing in some of these states? I don't remember what I don't remember what state this was, but one of my founders, and we'll have him on here, and I want you to talk to him at some point too. You guys will get along because he's a good old Bible boy. He's a very, very good friend of mine, Bailey. Deep booming voice. Big old black guy. He is hilarious. He is one of my brothers. I love the dude. He's an awesome, awesome cat. And he's one of my founders, and he's one of my business partners. I've given him percentage of ownership of this, along with Matt, who's the 18, 19-year-old kid where the conversation started. And I never actually even got a chance to tell that story to everybody else. But the reasons for me making the first batch, me and Matt had the conversation where he brought up RSO. I told him it had been listed in the Bible and it was in the recipe for holy anointing oil, or as you're calling it, HAO. And I've decided to rebrand that to HCO. I don't know why. I just did. Surprise.
It actually flows, and it makes a certain amount of good sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also envisioned other products around it, and I haven't even told you this. I have 7 total products similar to HCO, Holy Christ Oil, Holy Cannabis Oil, in the works. We have.
Well, I had another C one for you. I don't know if you've already got your product line.
We don't have the names. The only other one we have a name for is called Holy Fire. And that one basically will not be something that you do orally, not wisely, and you won't turn it into suppositories either, which we do have people doing with HCO, both versions, the CBD and the THC version. We do have people who have taken and bought it and turned it into suppositories. We have one gentleman who was using it. He got diagnosed 2 months later. They had told him the tumor, this is gross, but it's in his rectum, so he can actually put his finger right on it, is about 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters in size. And within 2 months of doing this, it was down to 1.7 millimeters. So that's a pretty good reduction in just 2 months' time.
Absolutely.
And he's not doing any chemotherapy or any radiation. He has changed his diet. He has used some RSO. The first week or so before he got to us, I think it actually was more like 2 or 3 weeks. He basically just stayed as high as he could. He's an old pothead. He's a great guy too. That's the funnest in some respect, is just the great people that I've had the privilege to actually meet.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we do have other products in the works. The Holy Fire will actually be for topical use only. And that one is being made specifically for one of my other advisor friends
But we're going to possibly productize that. He'll be doing the testing. He's the initial guinea pig for that. I, fortunately, don't have any medical issues by which this would benefit me. I've used it recreationally, a small amount. I've been the guinea pig. When people ask, well, what happens if you do it and you're on alcohol, you're a little drunk? Well, ask me in 24 hours. I'll tell you. What happens if you drink a whole bottle? Oh, dear God, I got to drink a whole bottle to find out? All right, ask me in 24 hours. Little did I know, I lost 12 hours doing that one. Drinking a whole bottle of this is not advisable, but totally survivable. Totally survivable. I was high off my rocker, but I felt fantastic the next day. As a matter of fact, the next day I had to go down to San Jose to meet with my friend that we're going to do the Holy Fire version. The Holy Fire version will be topical only, and we're mixing in the extract from ghost peppers, which is the hottest pepper that there is, according to him. And he uses it for joint relief in his elbows and his shoulders. He's had one arm, they got messed up when he was in the Navy, when he was young, and he's had the one rebuilt completely, and it's okay, although he still has some pain, I believe. And the other one is still really bad. And he can't take it's a surgery that takes you out of commission for like 2 months. And he's a geek. He's on a computer the whole time. You can't type. You can't do anything, my understanding, when you do this, after you do this surgery. And so he actually goes through and he takes the oil and he mixes it with this ghost pepper extract, and he uses it for topical relief. And he also does the holy cannabis oil as drops for when the pain is really bad. And we have several people who are using it in that fashion, specifically for arthritis and stuff, where they take and they do in the morning like 3 drops of the CBD oil, and then in the evening before they go to bed, they'll do 3 to 5 more drops of the holy cannabis oil. The holy cannabis oil is the one with THC. Holy Christ oil is the one that's CBD only. But my one friend, Bailey, who's doing this, and you'll get a chance to meet him. He'll be on. I got to go fix his computer before he can join us to do this. But he is taking and doing this. He is getting off of his, and I'm probably going to botch the name. He's on 2 things. One's called Humestra, I think. Humestra. And the other is, I just had it. Starts with an M, not methoxylate, Matroxyl. I'll come up with it here in a second. It's a really nasty chemotherapy drug that they give very weak doses of for people who have really, really bad arthritis. He is off of the methotrexate, I think is what it is. I have it written down, but it's on my other computer. I'm on my laptop because I got audio issues with my other machine. And this one's got built-in camera and everything, so it works fine. But he's on
The only thing I missed was being on video.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to have you on here, dude, but well, we'll work this out, and we'll do this again. And this is going to get a little larger over time. This is the first time I have ever done this. I call patients, and we have these long, rambling conversations all the time. And I kind of apologize. We may take and actually front load all of the meat and questions of what people want to know. And I think we should probably jump into that right now, because I do have like a couple things that I would like people to hear, not from my mouth. They go in my ear, but then they have to be spoken again by me when they come out of your mouth. I'd rather people hear this from somebody who has firsthand experience. I'm not trying to pitch this. I mean, I'm doing this because my grandmother was a nurse. So literally on Easter, she'd be like, what do you guys want to do? You know, we'd done the whole Easter egg hunt and all that. And I'd want to go out to the convalescent home where she worked to wish all of the elderly people happy Easter. And I think we did this for Christmas and Thanksgiving and a couple other times. And I was kind of fascinated. And I've always been fascinated. I grew up reading a PDR book. How could I not be a geek? But I'm paranoid of needles. I don't freak on blood, but I'm deathly paranoid of needles. So I could not but I knew all the bones in the body and all the organs. And I mean, I'm easily smart enough to be in the medical profession. I just I can't even watch somebody give a shot on TV and I freak out. When I met you, you were walking on a cane. You were a little unstable, but you're definitely lucid and your conversations were totally coherent. You might not have been able to write any of the big words, but you were obviously able to take and actually converse completely correct. Are you still stumbly? Are you? I
have not touched my cane.
And how long?
Since the month of September.
Since September.
I would love to tell you the date, but I don't know it.
Since
but I can tell you this: 9/14, I believe, is the date I have in the notepad on my desk that we started this CBD treatment. So I'm telling you that I believe not very far into October, we covered everything except we got the cane gone.
Yes.
I have a buddy I went to high school with comes over, I'm going to say now it's 3 weeks ago, maybe it's a month ago, on Friday, to pick up a CD I've made of some music he asked for a mutual friend's son's funeral. He comes over, I hand him the CD, and I'm expecting him to get the hell out of my house shortly.
Right.
Like seconds later, and he doesn't, he's standing around like I owe him money or something. And I mean, he's giving me the stink eye almost. And I'm finally, Dave, what is the deal? And he's like, I don't understand something, Michael. I'm 2 years older than you. You've had brain cancer and brain surgery. You look like you just came back from Hawaii. I'm friggin' dying just hauling my bones around. What's the deal?
Awesome.
And I told him. But he did ask me, he said, well, have you been high? And I went, well, hell yes, I've been high.
Yeah.
What do you do when you get high? And I said, well, it's real simple. I have these 3 huge couches in our living room. One's a long couch, and the other 2 are kind of short, love-seat-looking couches.
Yeah.
And I go and I get on a couch. Both dogs will find me within a half a minute and get next to me, and I relax.
Yeah. Peaceful.
I don't have the desire to trip balls on the couch watching Pink Floyd. If that were my goal, I could do it a lot less economically.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they talk about that this can't be recreational, and if it's for medicine, it should just be for medicine. And my comeback is immediate with how many people are abusing their grandmother's hydrocodone or their uncle's Oxycontin.
Yeah.
We don't do anything. We don't get all up in arms about that. Oh, my God, we can't let the Alzheimer's patients have their medication.
No.
It's being abused.
Yep, and they can be out driving, and that's okay.
Right. But here's the thing. I like that from this perspective. We have entrusted our law enforcement officers with their discerned, critical judgment and evaluation of your abilities to determine if there's a problem.
Right.
Whether it's from RSO, HCO, hydrocodone, Lorazepam, which are the same drug, or any other drug, or alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't believe we need another form of management.
No.
I believe what we need is someone, and I heard this guy that, you know, I've told you I don't have an opinion and I'm going to stick with that. But I heard this guy give what I was told was an almost Kennedy-style announcement that we were going to cure cancer, and we were going to do it.
Oh, is that the Obama thing?
And the other things, not because they were easy, but because they were hard. And I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. I'm glad you're doing so damn good.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Listen, when I talk about how I'm doing, I always point up. That's not offensive. It's just what makes me smile.
Yep. Well, I'm glad we could be a part of that.
And, you know, technically, Hayward's a little north of Abilene, so maybe I'm pointing up north.
Yeah.
Be well, my friend.
Be well, Goods. I'm glad you're doing so good, and thank you for joining.
I'll get that feedback testimonial up on the site as read early tonight.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
With Cameron,
okay.
I'll be back.
All right. And I'm going to stay on here with the people and kind of give them a rundown of how this came into being that you and I ended up on this path. So take care. Tell the wife and kids hello. What was that?
You let them know they can reach me through you.
Oh, you got it. All right, man. You take care.
Take care, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that, and you get to hear somebody else's perspective who's actually been taking it. We're looking at taking and setting up possibly like a Google Hangout where we can get a couple different clients going. We do have a problem doing that. A lot of our patients are a little older, and some of them not technical at all. So there's, it does take a certain skill set to know how to sit there and do video conferencing. For me, it's easy. I come out of the IT world. I don't need to do tech support for everybody I'm trying to take and help. I don't scale well in that direction, which is kind of why I've stopped doing the IT side, and I'm kind of really enjoying taking and doing this because I get to take and help a lot of people, and I get to meet some fascinating people too. So right now, first off, the batches will change a little bit over time. We have I have 7 different products that I want to take and actually manufacture. We kind of need. We're doing this very grassroots. There's no budget behind this. This is started up really weirdly, organically, but I've got enough really good friends and a series of growers so I can actually take and get material, and this is being funded batch by batch by batch. So we really do need to take and have the support of a community of people to be able to take and do what the grand goal is here. The grand goal is to be able to take and put out a lot of great healing products. I am going to take and come up with one that's recreational, so right now this is what we got. This is a medicine, though. I mean, this one is truly, truly a medicine, and I'm going to keep playing with this, and I'm going to keep improving it. What I was able to do with beer, I'm going to do with healing now, and honestly, it almost makes me tear up. There's family members that started this in some respect, so. But now, we get to do it for a lot of people, and that's pretty damn good. And, it's humbling, too. Anyway, the current batches that I'm going to look like a little bitch, aren't I? Anyway, but this is out of the heart. This is truly out of the heart. That's all you can say. Anyway, I am going to take and do recreational product. The goal is to take and have anywhere between 10 to probably 15 milligrams per drop. So 3 drops, you'd be pretty lit. 4 drops, and this is for people with a tolerance. If you're 10 drops with just a little teeny bit in a dropper, and you'd be blazed, 150 milligrams. I'm going to bump this up. I did it with alcohol. Trust me, I can do it with this. I'm the guy. I'm a bad influence, but I get to be a good influence now. And actually, my mom is one of my patients now too. She's doing it to take and actually help her sleep. It is a truly amazing product. If you have no tolerance to cannabis or anything, this is not overwhelming. This is not like doing brownies. I have been train wrecked on brownies. We don't want to do that to you. This is very mellow, very subtle. But if you have no exposure to THC or cannabis, you can get quite lit. Because, some people can't handle more than one beer and they're all over themselves. Other people drink a 12-pack and you can't tell until you smell their breath. Okay, maybe not a 12-pack. Some of my friends, yes, a 12-pack. Remember, I was brewing 10% beer, okay? It was a little over 10%. My friends called it 151 that tasted like beer. But here, let's focus on the products that we're actually going to be doing. We have another one's going to be specific for a topical-only type of joint. This can be done orally or topically. The current batches, and this should the part that should stay pretty consistent over time is how many drops is considered a dose. Okay, 6 drops is what we're considering a dose. That gives you 10.75 milligrams of THC. The current batches that we're doing are very high in CBN, which is really good for helping your sleep. So if you have sleep issues or anything like that, this works really well. Like I said, my mom is using it. My mom's retired from sheriff's department, so I used to get busted for having pot by her. Now I'm having to supply her. But this is medicine, people. People actually, the science is out there now. So anybody who saw the bit that you saw just a little bit ago actually came out of a 2.5 to almost 3 hour long rant between me and Michael. We put up online for about 24 48 hours. We got a few hits on it, so please don't judge us if you actually saw that, because it was, I mean, we're trying to be very professional. Him and I together, we go in weird directions, so that's why we chopped this up. But if you got somebody who you're looking at helping, either yourself or another family member or a friend even, who you think this would benefit, get in touch with us. We're here to actually take and help. It's really good stuff, and it's working. Our first patient we actually want to take and get on here at some point. She's actually she's a veteran. She's in her 60s. My stepdad supposedly is in remission also. So there's a lot of success stories. Now, mind you, it's not just this. They're doing other stuff. Well, most of them are. Some of them aren't. Some of them are doing straight just this. Maybe a little bit of RSO. If you're doing RSO just wipes you out. I mean, even if you've got experience with THC, you're destroyed almost. But you're not train wrecked. Train wrecked is a feeling where you just feel like shit and you're high for a couple days. And I have gotten that myself, and I have a really high tolerance. But I have gotten that myself. This is nothing like that. At worst, you're going to take in, if you do take and you do too much of the holy cannabis oil, I forget which is which, I have to go back and think. If you do too much of the holy cannabis oil and you find yourself getting way too high on it, and you have the other oil, you can actually do the other one, and the CBD will help offset and actually take and bring the other high down. Cannabis is an interesting thing, and I love the science. Anybody who knows me will tell you when I get into something, I go deep. So take a dive with us. Give us a call. Contact us. Hit the website, www.holychristoil.com or www.holycannabisoil.com. They both take you to the same place. The website's a little haphazard right now and everything because it got thrown up real quick. At some point we'll actually we'll get it moved over to Drupal, assuming I have the time, since it's probably going to have to be done by me, and it does take a lot of time. And right now this is starting to eat up a lot of time, but it goes to the right place. We're able to help people. There is no better feeling in the world. Take care. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.